TFP. Let's just dive into it. We got some ecosystem updates to go through before Richard Bear stops by. So, I mean, off the hop, this is really the news of the day here. Karate Combat Live, I think still, oh no, it just ended. Okay. So 1.2 million. I don't know if we can see that there. 1.2 million viewers of Karate Combat 49 in Singapore. Pretty incredible. Lots of stuff has been happening. If people have been on X at all, you've probably seen Karate Combat going on. My pleasant surprise, if people recall, a month ago or so, I posted a video where I was like freaking out on my front step of my house, like Hedera marketing is not good and Karate Combat's happening and they're not part of it. And I'm going on and on about it. I think it definitely ruffled some feathers, but there's so much to talk about with Karate Combat. One of the key things is that Hedera's in it this time around. They're tweeting, the intern at Hedera with the account is posting away here during Karate Combat. So this is great to see. Retweeting. They've got a new ad that they ran during Karate Combat, which is much better. It's not the old Christian Hasker PowerPoint presentation. It's actually like Karate Combat talking about the application. That's what people care about. You know, that's really what it's all about. So great to see a new ad. And they're tweeting, they're retweeting, they're in it. They retweeted me. And all sorts of good stuff. Also too, if you can see right here, there's something happening, and I wanted to just play a clip of what's happening here because this is another great example of some good stuff happening in the ecosystem. Let me just pull up this clip here because this is really great. This is featuring Devin from Swirlds Labs, and this is live on Karate Combat, again, in front of hundreds of thousands of people, spreading the good word of Hedera. So let's check out this clip.
But we're going to touch on that in just a minute. Let's go ahead and join President Awesome, who is pitside, with an important announcement.
Hey guys, so listen up. There's some major changes that have happened to Karate Combat, and Karate Combat is evolving at a very quick rate. Right now, you just saw what happens when these elbows come into play. We had the closest voting we've ever had, and it showed how important the token was. It showed how powerful the fans are when they have tokens. Okay, look, I proposed this rule for the elbow change. I feel it'll evolve the sport.
Yeah, they're talking about the recent vote that happened with Karate Token.
Myself, I started getting worried, and it showed how powerful the fans are.
That's Devin, by the way, from Swirlds Labs, or Hedera.
Man, Karate Combat is built on Hedera. He'll talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, just like you said, Karate Combat built on Hedera, a decentralized Web3 open source technology. I think the big thing is that Hedera brings speed, it brings performance, sustainability, it's low cost, and that really just helps all the fans that are using the KC app ensure that they get that fun, performance, sort of digital experience when they're doing things like enabling elbow striking in the pit. It's so cool to see what's being built on Hedera. You guys are doing great.
We're doing it for you guys. The fans have control. Name another sports league where the fan has control.
Right. So you got to dig it. I mean, that's really good to see, like actually people from Hedera on the stream talking about all sorts of good stuff, which is great. No, I don't believe, Grove, I don't believe Devin works for the HBAR Foundation. He works for Swirlds Labs, now Hashgraph. I had sushi with him in Denver. He's a great guy. Also, some other crazy, well, maybe what was the other thing too? Hedera posted some other stuff. Anyways, Karate Combat, we got a lot to talk about, but Karate Combat clearly, I think that it's truly like mainstream crypto adoption happening on Hedera. It can't be stressed enough. And I think that it's great to see Hedera really starting to dive into this big time because it's needed, it's necessary, it's super important. And also, we've got a booth at Karate Combat, right? Hello Future. We've got Stater, all sorts of other projects here, Saucer Swap. We're seeing representatives from Hedera at Karate Combat. So last time when I was complaining versus this time around, night and day as far as I'm concerned. I think it's really, really, really great to see. So Karate Combat, big stuff. I'm digging it. Also, too, The Hello Future Hackathon that I've been talking about on the show, the winners for that are going to be announced tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that. It was pushed back, but the winners are going to be announced tomorrow. According to them, there was about 80, 90 submissions, all sorts of good stuff, as we saw, Nomad from Milan, Pluto from HashPack's gaming thing, the Hgraph revenue dashboard, all sorts of different things. So that's going to be something to keep an eye out on. So, yeah, keep a lookout for that 100%. Also, this was really interesting to see. Hashpoint Research, new project in the ecosystem, with a post that I think really caught the community by storm. This concerns the Hedera staking rewards account 0.0.800. For the first time in history over the past 4 days, it's a surplus, which means that there's more HBAR going in than coming out. Now, I know that staking rewards are very, very, very low. I think it's like 0.2%, but we've bottomed out. And Hashpoint Research, I think, is there's some stuff brewing over there. I've been seeing things all over X. So there's a trend in this ecosystem of more data and analytics becoming available for the ecosystem, which I think is like so crucial and so important. So that's really, really interesting to see. Also, an update from Bonzo Finance. Their mainnet launch is continuing on the path, but still kind of dealing with some delays. This was an update that they shared on the 12th, so obviously quite a few days ago, but just worth quickly mentioning from the Bonzo Finance standpoint. Borrowing and lending, I've talked about it on the show, how big of an impact it's going to have on our ecosystem. And right now, it seems with Bonzo Finance is Supra is just waiting on a grant from the HBAR Foundation. And Bonzo Finance is also waiting on a grant for some rewards incentive standard stuff that needs to happen in DeFi. Part of the foundation's focus on enabling these kinds of use cases. And then Bonzo Finance kind of waiting to do some testing with the Super Oracle. So we've been keeping up with this evolving story on the show. This was just a recent update. So I would stay tuned to Bonzo Finance's socials for official news, but that's where Bonzo Finance is at right now. So looking forward to that going on mainnet. We need borrowing and lending. Also, too, Neuron, this is an update. There's a bit of a trend that we're seeing here. Both Neuron and TuneFM have raised money for their projects, a substantial amount of money. Neuron announced a $3.5 million seed round. And this was pretty exciting to see. This is outside investment coming into the Hedera ecosystem through these projects, which I think is really, really interesting and really, really important development to see. As many in the ecosystem mention, it's really important at this time for outside money to come in. So these kinds of headlines, I think that's really, 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 really great to see. So huge shout out to Neuron. On that as well, TuneFM, I mentioned, they've raised, this is CoinDesk with this article, they've raised $50 million. And again, TuneFM, we've talked about it on the show extensively. They're part of the Hashgraph NFT working group and a contributor to the HIP 920, music metadata standards, all that kind of stuff. I also had a chat with Andrew in Denver earlier this year. So working on great stuff. Music is near and dear to my heart. And, this article, TuneFM has raised $50 million from Global Emerging Markets Group 8 months after they had raised $20 million funding round. So $70 million TuneFM has raised. And it's these kinds of stories that really get me excited. We also saw that last week, MTech had an investment from Accenture. So it's these kinds of things that, again, get me really excited about what's going on in this ecosystem on the backdrop of all the different changes and developments that we've seen. So I kind of dig it. Let me see here. What comments do we got going on? Oh yeah. When Brandon D, 1 million views. I don't know. Let's see if we can get the views up. If the more the merrier. If you're watching the show, feel free to share, send the link, share in the chat. The more the merrier tuning into the show. There was a request for a question here too from No Man. Can you drill down on how the Hyro move will or won't affect governing council governance? Yeah, of course. I'm going to ask Richard that when he joins the show just in about 20 minutes here. Let's also take a look at some of the events right now that are happening that Hedera is a part of. Hedera AI conference. This was last week. Basically just after the show last week, so missed out on this, but Hedera was at the AI conference 2024 with Equity Lab, so lots of good stuff going on. I mean, it's great to see Hedera really branching out into other kinds of verticals and ecosystems beyond just Web3, so that's really, really, really cool to see. Also, speaking of right now, Hedera is currently at token 2049. We're seeing lots of updates, especially from patches at Hashgraph about what's going on there. This is also the conference where Hyro was announced. And also this is where Karate Combat's happening. So token 2049 is probably one of the largest crypto conferences and gatherings in the world in Singapore this year. And there's some serious moves being made. This was a real world asset and payments side event. Arcax, obviously, doing work with Hedera recently. They minted BlackRock money market funds on Hedera and also funds from Aberdeen. So this was a panel featuring Arcax and kind of touching on some of the different Hedera things with IO builders and Red Swan that's also tokenizing real estate on Hedera. And also another panel that took place at Token 29 featuring Charles Hoskinson from Cardano and also Sabrina from the HBAR Foundation, plus other speakers. This is really great to see too. This is a pretty stacked panel. And it's great to see in the context of, real world assets, Hedera really being a part of the conversation. And also we're going to touch on the show is the launch of the asset tokenization studio from Hedera, which is huge and kind of ties right into this, what's happening with token 2049 and also the narrative surrounding real world assets. I think that whole aspect of crypto has kind of taken over the narrative in a lot of ways. So it seems that Hedera is definitely taking some strong moves to capitalize on that. On that, the Australian digital dollar project is launching on the Hedera network in partnership with the HBAR Foundation. So a lot of people that are familiar with the Hedera stablecoin studio that was announced last year, which I feel is similar to the asset tokenization studio, we haven't really heard a lot about, what products are being launched on the Hedera stablecoin studio. Rob Allen recently from the Governing Council on Australian Payments Plus made it clear that this Australian digital dollar was one of the first products that would be leveraging the Hedera stablecoin studio. So that's really exciting. So obviously, the Australian digital dollar is going to be a major on and off ramp into Web3 for everybody, obviously in Australia. And I think sets a bit of a template and a bit of a tone for what we can expect to see with other stablecoin products that might be minted on Hedera. And Rob Allen, in response to a question from Bonzo Finance, says, and clarifies, it's non-custodial, right? Buy AUDD, hold it in your HTS-enabled wallet, obviously referring to something like HashPack or Blade. Use it in all the dApps that support it. So let's say, for example, on Saucer Swap, there could be a liquidity pool that holds, Grelf and the Australian digital dollar. Similar to you'd have a pool that holds Grelf and USDC, right? So really, really interesting stuff. And it just feeds into that conversation of the need for liquidity for these stablecoins, especially USDC. So this is a very interesting one to keep an eye on. Again, it's just kind of the initial announcement. But I think that this is going to be big. And CoinMan, the H Barbarian, comments here. Significant adoption of AUDD is expected both within Australia, globally, particularly in industries such as international remittance, escrow services, and real-time payment settlements. So I think that's really what it's all about here. So I'm pretty stoked about this stuff. And to be honest, it's a relief to, see the stablecoin studio being used for something like this. I think that's really great. Pluto from HashPack shares a bit of a teaser in regards to an automated test setup with the new unlimited token association toggle. So these are automated tests happening with HashPack. And currently what they're doing is they're testing the unlimited token auto association. So basically on Hedera, we have something called token association, which means that someone has to associate a token before they can receive it, which is great for security, for not getting spam in your wallet, and also required by enterprises, right? An enterprise can't open a wallet and then just have a bunch of junk sent to it. So it's a necessary feature. But for people bridging over from other networks where it's not really the norm, it's a learning curve. It can actually be an obstacle. And so this kind of feature, essentially what it provides is the ability for a wallet to say, hey, I want to receive everything. And then be able to function without needing that kind of manual token association process. So lots of people working on this, in HashPack definitely making headwinds with this. And it's very cool to see this, behind the scenes look at these different tests and everything like that. So, and also too, Pluto's just been, posting, again, CTO of HashPack, posting a lot of different like alpha and teasers and all sorts of different things. So I definitely go check out his profile and see what's going on. Someone else's profile, just quickly flipping back to the token 2049 stuff. Patches from Swirlds Labs, Hashgraph. He's posting on X all over the place right now. Obviously at Karate Combat. There's him with some folks from Hedera. There's Oliver. I've had Oliver on the show. He's the social media guy for Hedera. So he's making some of the moves on the Hedera socials. So it's great to see that happening. Stuff's going down, right? And Patches is definitely part of the kind of real world asset tokenization efforts at Hedera and, AKA Hashgraph or Swirlds Labs. So that's really great to see. It's awesome to see team members, employees, leaders really participating in these events, and even stuff like, Karate Combat and everything like that. It's not really related to, enterprise DLT adoption or whatever, but it's happening, right? We've been wondering, when are we going to see mass adoption? It's happening. So it's great to see that energy from Hedera now really being focused on that in a much more, I think, kind of an increased way.